So you've read the thumbnail. Welcome to a video about why Animar struggles in this cEDH metagame. And why all of you who are loving Animar is giving this video a thumbs down. I would like to emphasize that this is a video about how Animar functions in the cEDH metagame. I'm not saying Animar is bad, I'm not saying Animar can't win games. It has a cool combo going for it, Walking Ballista and Ancestral Statue. Boom, a 2-card combo that deals infinite damage with Animar. But the commander still struggles, like it's not really performing that well, so to say. And this video is going to try to explain why. Because there are other commanders that fall into the similar category of why Animar struggles in the cEDH metagame. It's gonna be quite clear in the video, I think. I try to make some of these videos now and then just to explain the metagame and highlight commanders and like give you an insight into it. But a lot of the stuff I said in that video was emphasizing on how you should think, how you could correct your build to make it work better. So you could really view this video as how to build or tweak Animar's 99 to make him fit better against the current metagame, so to say. It's not about he's bad, don't play him, more about here are some problems and here are some how you could solve some of those problems. So the first thing we have to emphasize about this combo, and I also want to point out that there are more things to say about this combo. Animar has some cool tricks to get to this thing as well. But the big problem is that it's a commander-centric orientated combo, like you need to have your commander into play to make it work, and then you need to reach a +4/+4 counters on Animar to make Ancestral Statue basically free to cast. Or well, you could have like 2+1+ counters on Animar and just pay 2 mana, or actually 3 mana, first 2, then 1, and then Ancestral Statue is free. But in the end, there's a lot of hoops, a lot of things you need to do to like get to that point where you win with this thing. This is demanding a lot from your opening hand. This one doesn't have any lands, so you need to mulligan that. This actually has lands. We have a Dork, so we have a turn 2 Animar. This is actually a really good hand. This is something you should keep. Like we have Facebreaker, we have Glenalendra, Gildrake, Wandering Archaic. This is a hand that could get somewhere eventually. But we don't have a way to get to our combo. Like we have some interaction and some tiny grand capabilities from the professional Facebreaker. So this is actually a hand you should keep. Here we have a Sylvan Library. We also have a Dork, so we have a turn 2. However, I would like to say that I'm probably gonna cast the Sylvan Library turn 2 and then wait with Animar to turn 3, because I think the card draw just getting through your deck here is very important. Maybe you need to put that Oof into play quite early in the game as well. Same thing here, we're gonna have a Sylvan Library turn 1, that is very good. I don't think we should keep this hand, let's mulligan. So this hand has a lot of value and like energy, like a lot of mana. We have a Gildrake, that's good, but once again, none of the hands we've showcased here are like getting the combo into play that early in the game. Fauna Shaman actually helps us get that into play, but this is a hand you can't really keep because you have one land, nothing you can do on turn 1, so you have to mulligan this one. This is actually something we can keep, that there is a risk that you get stuck because you actually don't have any access to red mana here. So you can keep this, but you probably should mulligan it. In general, what's happening is that because you can't reach to your combo as fast as other decks could, I mean, this is just going to outrace you completely. That means that you have to take another route, a more mid-range, grindy, interactive route. But that brings another problem for you. This doesn't really draw cards from the command zone. Now, you can actually kinda produce some value here, making your creatures easier to cast. For example, Wandering Archaic is really good for Animar, that's basically free to cast. Eventually you could make Void Winnower free to cast too. But something that I showcased during the opening hands then mulligan was that I did say that it's probably better to put the Sylvan Library into play turn 2 than put Animar into play turn 2. I really want to emphasize that if you're gonna sit and play this commander, you really need to dig through your deck quite a bunch here. But also because you're like competing against combos at this level means that you can't outrace them. This means that you have to interact with them. So your opening hand also needs to contain interaction as well. And if you're forced to have hands containing interaction, any form of card draw because your commander doesn't draw cards, as well as hopefully trying to have like you're going for your combo somewhere down the line, it just means that there's just too much asking for your mulligan. It's just too much asking for your opening hand, like value, interaction, and preferably a way to get your combo. This means that you might have to sacrifice your combo a tiny bit here and put more effort into making sure that your opening hand contains interaction and some value. So if you're building like Animar, you might need to tweak your 99 more towards a control game plan and more towards an interactive game plan. And you need to solve the problem of drawing cards because the commander doesn't draw cards at all. Now all of this is putting Animar at a very tricky position. You see, we don't have access to white here. Counter spells, force of will, flusterstorm, mental, force of negation, all of that cool stuff is good. It will help you stay alive, but it's not really helping you win the game. You're becoming the police, the person that's sitting and dictating who's winning, but not really winning yourself. The truth about counterspells in multiplayer game, this is nothing about magic, this is about multiplayer concept, is that you're going down in hand size, you're losing resources and economy interacting with someone else. In my opinion, you're actually kind of king-making if you're sitting and trying to here's an important word. You're using counterspells to prevent yourself from losing the game, but you're not using them to win the game. Eventually leads you to actually lose the game anyways, but you're dictating who wins the game here. This means stacks. Stacks is actually quite good. Like stacks is able to interact with everyone without losing economy on it. However, in Animar's case, you don't have access to white or black that is currently holding some really good stacks cards, so to say. Now you still have some good stuff, and I want to emphasize that Wandering Archaic and Void of Nowhere are pretty interesting with Animar actually. And Collect Roof is actually quite great at like interacting with the current metagame because a lot of people are heavily on artifacts. But now I want to say something important and why the sadness of like the Animar struggle just becomes more real. This is important, so listen. You are more or less becoming a weaker version of a stacks commander deck. Like we notice, also like an orientated control, like it's a little bit of everything here. Like she's a snowball stacks commander that just overruns eventually with just too much Venota triggers. And she will perform the same kind of game plan similar to Animar, but she will do it a little bit better. She will be able to put those stacks white and red hate bears into play quite effectively and ease quite fast, and it's gonna continue in a snowball effect. Animar is going to do that too and could be built to do that too, but it's gonna go slower. So where does Animar fit in all of this? Like, he's not the fastest combo commander. He doesn't have the best mid-range grind capabilities, like he's getting your creatures easier to cast and he's growing in power and toughness. But other commanders are doing the mid-game game plan better. He doesn't give you any value, so you have to have Kadra in the command in the 99 to solve that, like Sylvan Library is very important for this commander. And he's not going to build the best stacks deck or the best interactive deck either. So now this video is getting like really sad. Are there any positive things here? The ultimate truth is that Void of Nowhere is actually amazing, it's great. It's a really good stacks card that a few commanders could actually play. The only one running around with Void of Nowhere is sometimes Kinnan. No, Kinnan isn't always actually including Void of Nowhere because Kinnan can actually win the game quite fast and efficient, so it doesn't need to. Kinnan can play that really aggressive, I'm gonna win the game here and now, I'm gonna rush for the win, and I don't care. Animar can't do that. Animar can't rush to the win compared to other commanders. But Kinnan could run Void of Nowhere. But after that, there aren't that many commanders that could. Or well, like a lot of green commanders could run Void of Nowhere. You can easily tutor for it with a green color identity, and green is usually very capable of getting a lot of mana with a Gaia's Cradle. So yeah, a lot of green commanders could play Void of Nowhere, but it's like, yeah, it's hard to fit it in there because sometimes you don't have the mana and it's sitting in your hand and it's being a dead card, and that's bad. But this hate bear is absolutely amazing in this current metagame. It's shutting down a lot of combos and things out there, as well as Wandering Archaic and Walking Ballista. Now you can actually cast Walking Ballista for free and make it enter with a lot of +1% counters, not infinite, but it's gonna be able to interact with creatures and commanders a little bit here and there that your opponents control. Etali is really interesting in my opinion. It's just too expensive, like you can't play this. Like 6 mana is too much, it doesn't have haste, it's terrible, garbage, casual. However, if you're paying like 2 red mana for it, it's actually quite appealing suddenly. And this is both like a super tiny interaction, while that's super tiny value for you as well. Like, it's a little bit of both what you need here. You need to grind the value because you're trying to go for a longer game, because you aren't going for a faster win. You can't go for a faster win. And you need to interact with your opponents like a tiny bit, so Italy could be doing something of a tiny bit of both. Like, Ragavan is basically just a smaller, tinier version compared to Italy, and we 100% auto-include that thing. The ultimate truth is that Animar can't really play the cEDH metagame style, the fast combo, the counterspell interaction, the go for the win and interact and protect your win. Other commanders just doing that better. You can't really do the stacks route in a good way, but you could try to do the stompy stacks overrun game plan instead. Ultimately, if Animar is gonna fit in the current metagame, he has to be changed a lot, or a lot of new cards need to be printed. I think people should try to experiment with Oblivion Sour. We have already showcased a bunch of different colorless creatures that Animar could cast for free if he has the +1/+1 counters enough for it. And then Glimpse of Nature, that is an all-star in Animar and definitely auto-include, could basically perform a really amazing Storm value run, where you basically just sit and cast creature, and build an enormous board state. Because here's the thing, if you build an enormous value compared to everyone else, your win con doesn't really matter. Venota is actually a really good example of this. Like, she has a combo in the deck, but a lot of the wins that I've had with Venota, and sometimes I see from others, is that they just snowball out of existence. They become so strong that it doesn't really matter. They have creatures, they attack, they get more creatures, they attack more, eventually people just die. The way Magic was intended to be played. I think Animar should be trying to do this too. Try to go back to the core roots of casual. How casual Animar is actually being built. Trying to pretend to be a cEDH deck doesn't really work. So try to be what Animar is supposed to be. That storm, that big, stompy temur. Creature-orientated, stompy snowball stuff. Because in cEDH, if you interact a tiny bit, the game gets a little bit longer, and with more time, you could continue to just snowball with more value over time. We are digressing a tiny bit here and going a little bit more outside of this video's original intent. But I actually have played Animar quite a bunch. With its original style, you can see a link in the description below of the video for this YouTube video if you want to take a look at it. And my experience with the Animar build that currently exists, the cEDH version of Animar, is that yeah, it's always getting good hands and it's always getting somewhere to do, but it just doesn't get there because of the simple fact that people win faster than Animar does. We don't really interact good enough. We don't draw cards compared to other people good enough because we're trying to play that game we can't play. There are just other commanders doing the exact same thing as Animar, but better. So I kinda wanna see a revolution around this topic, around his concept. And I guess I will try to build something and maybe get back to you with a gameplay video of a casual Animar against a cEDH pod. Well, should try at least. I mean, trying to ramp out Void Vinower as fast as you possibly can with an Animar, that could be cool. That could actually have an impact. And then try to win with just big Eldrazi beatdown. Now that's all for this video. That's enough of my rambling. I hope you learned something new about the cEDH metagame and Animar in general. And even though this is a video saying that Animar is a commander that is struggling and probably shouldn't be played in currently of the cEDH meta game, so to say, I wanna spark hope and I wanna give you some ideas of how you maybe need to tweak Animar to make him work better. It is a really cool commander, it's a really cool concept. It's been around for ages. It's like one of the first original commanders we actually had from Wizard of the Coast, printed from a commander product. But thank you so much for watching. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!